Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to 10 Bagger Stocks. I'm Stefano, the CEO of the company, and I'm here to talk about something very important, something I've wanted to talk about and discuss more for a while, but I've been hesitant to talk about it and drop a YouTube video on it because I know I'm going to get a lot of backlash, and I know there's going to be angry people out there. And listen, I'm not trying to make anybody angry. I'm not trying to fight with anybody. What I want to do is I want to say my thoughts and my opinions based on my analysis and my experience in the markets. And listen, I don't know everything and I could very well be wrong, but I'm going to tell you in this video why I believe with a very high certainty and very high confidence that all the cryptos, every single one, at some point in time will be worth zero. And listen, I'm not saying it's going to happen right now or tomorrow or next week. I do think we have a lot of further declines ahead, mind you, but I think it could take some time to get to my price target of zero, could be years, but I do ultimately believe that it is headed there at some point in time, and I'm going to tell you why. So first I want to start with, and I'm going to try to address the arguments that, crypto bulls make for crypto. And so first off, let's go to the argument that it's just like the internet in 1999 or 2000. And yeah, there might be some bubbles that pop, but there's going to be a few that come out of it and get very big. And that's some people's arguments. They say the crypto is the next internet. Web 3.0, metaverse, and stuff like that. And listen, when it comes to the metaverse, I absolutely believe and am bullish on the metaverse. But I don't feel that crypto needs to be tied to the metaverse in any way, and I'll explain that later in the video. But the thing with crypto, and my argument against this point that crypto is just like the internet, is that the internet is useful. The internet, I mean, how much you can do on the internet. I can drop this video and millions of people could see it on the internet. We can connect on the internet. We can have profiles and web pages and sell things on the internet. We can educate on the internet. There is so much that we can do on the internet. But what can we do with these cryptos? The only thing they are somewhat supposed to be used for is a medium of exchange. And I'll explain why they're not good for that either. But the thing is, the internet is on a whole other level compared to cryptos. The internet benefits society in many ways. Some people could say it doesn't benefit society, and it has made it worse, but that's something else to talk about. But the internet is extremely useful. It's extremely necessary to the society that we have today, whereas crypto is not. What are the benefits to having crypto in society? So then maybe we'll get to that, and look, that argument, the internet comparing to crypto, they're whole different things. Crypto is run on the internet. They're whole different things. Crypto is just another part of the internet. So I don't know how people can make that argument that they're anywhere remotely similar. But let me get into the next points. So you can say crypto is a hedge against inflation, because they keep printing fiat money and inflating our currency and making our currency worthless and causing inflation. And while that is absolutely true, that they are printing more money and causing inflation, that is absolutely true. The thing with money is, fiat money, is that fiat money is essentially backed by your country. Now you could say, I don't trust the government and whatnot. Look, the thing is that fiat money is kind of like currency, is kind of like shares in your country. When I have Canadian dollars, it's kind of like having shares in Canada. Canada is a big business. Canada is generating trillions of dollars in GDP. We're at 1.8 trillion, 1.9 trillion GDP in, I think it was 2020 or something like that. That's the revenue of our country. It's like a company. We're doing trillions of dollars in exports. The government is collecting so much money in taxes, and it's not just about the revenue that our country is generating, just like a business, like you would invest in stocks. But it's also about the infrastructure that our country already has. We have roads, we have railroads, we have bridges, we have so much land, we have so much resources, we have so much room to grow. So while you can say they keep printing more fiat currency and inflating it, that is absolutely true. But the thing is that it's still backed by something. There's still a reason why our currency has value. Our currency has value because our country is a revenue generating machine. It's an economic growth machine. That's why our currency has value. So they dilute it, they print more, and that's kind of like owning a company that dilutes their shares. And it's not good. Listen, I don't like it either. It is not good. I don't agree with it. But there's a difference between having fiat currency, which is backed by a revenue generating country, essentially a big business, generating trillions of dollars in GDP and exports, that has infrastructure and buildings and roads and so much more, hospitals across the country. That's what our money is backed by. What is crypto backed by? What is Bitcoin backed by? And then people will say, well, it's backed by the blockchain. It's backed by the computers and these mathematical operations. Do you own that? Do you have a share in that? Do you have a share of the mining revenue? Do you have a share of the gas fees? Do you have a share of the transaction fees? And the answer is no. When you buy crypto, you don't get a share of any of the profits that these companies that created these cryptos generate or that are facilitating the transactions or the miners. You don't get a share of that. Now, let's look at XRP. XRP is very efficient, very great technology. The thing is, you buy XRP, you don't own the technology. You don't own the profits from the technology. You don't own a part of the company. You don't get any dividends. Now, if you could tell me that, listen, I'm going to invest in Ripple, the company Ripple, and Ripple had a stock on the market, and they were generating revenue and profits, and they were making deals with the banks, and you could get a share in that, that would make sense to me. Because you're buying a share in a company, you own part of the company, and you're getting a portion of their revenue. But when you buy their coin, you essentially don't own anything. You don't have the rights to anything whatsoever. You just have this token that maybe you can use on some websites and whatnot. But, in my opinion, that's the equivalent of buying like points in Fortnite or, V-Bucks, or that's the equivalent to buying coins at Dave & Buster's or Palladium in order to play at the arcade. They're only good for a certain purpose, but they're not really worth anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, maybe you can resell your Dave & Buster's points for a little bit, but they're not really worth anything. You wouldn't invest in Dave & Buster's points. You wouldn't invest in Fortnite V-Bucks. And that's essentially what most of these cryptos are. They're dedicated, like Decentraland, their currency, their cryptocurrency, it's to use on their Decentraland, but it's not a real currency. It's being used on their website for their platform. How can you feel secure in investing in something like that? You're really not owning anything. You're just buying some sort of medium of exchange for a particular website or something like that. And I don't know how anybody could consider that as an investment. I wouldn't go to Canadian Tire and consider Canadian Tire dollars as an investment, or Dave & Buster's points as an investment. I would think they have some value, but I would never invest in them. No way. And to me, that's what cryptocurrency is. They're like tokens. They're like points for certain websites and whatnot that they were made for. But again, they're not backed by anything. They're used as a medium of exchange on these particular websites and ecosystems, which could die out. So how could you feel safe in something like that? Decentraland might be the metaverse place right now, but then Facebook makes something better, and Decentraland, nobody uses it anymore. It's like an old Call of Duty game. Then what's your crypto worth at that point? So these are some of the arguments I have against crypto. So just to summarize quick, fiat currency is backed by a revenue generating economy. It's like a big business. Your country is like a big business, and owning your currency is like having shares in your country. Even if our country is in debt, and Canada has around $1.2 trillion of debt, which when you think of it, it's really not that much. compared to we're generating $1.8 trillion in GDP per year and growing, and we're a growing country. We have so much land and so much more room for growth. I don't know how people could think our currency is worthless. We have so much opportunity in this country. So fiat currency is backed by revenue generating economies like shares in your country, and crypto, it's some sort of medium of exchange for particular websites and stuff like that, which to me is the equivalent of buying like V-Bucks in Fortnite. So that's part of my argument over here. Another thing is that, in terms of actual usability and convenience and speed and stuff like that, first of all, let's go to the speed. While some cryptos are very fast, a lot of the big ones, Bitcoin, it's very slow. Even Ethereum is fairly slow. It's faster than Bitcoin, but it's not super fast. Sometimes the network gets clogged up. And, I go into the store and I tap my Visa. It's instant. I want to pay my Visa. It's instant. And some of these arguments, the fees, cheap fees to send money across the world. You could send money across the world on PayPal and instantly convert it to other currencies on PayPal. And it's really not expensive if you do actually want to send money across the world in other ways other than the PayPal. I mean, we're talking $10, $20 fees. It's really not much. And another thing, so in terms of speed, a lot of cryptos are very slow. In terms of usability, I mean, it's way more complicated than a lot of other things. You tap your Visa, it goes. With some of these cryptos, and most of them, you need QR codes. Or some people store it on a hard drive, and this just boggles my mind. You have a digital currency that you store on a physical hard drive. And people do that because they're afraid to keep it on these exchanges because of a hack. And there's been so many hacks too. First of all, I've not heard of many banks getting hacked, especially in Canada, and it could happen, but it hasn't happened in the years that I've been around. And, people feel so unsafe to leave their money on an exchange that they have to put it on a USB drive and have some 20 code passcode in order to access their money. Now, how inconvenient is that? And also, how ridiculous does that sound that you have a digital currency that you need to store on a physical wallet? What happens if you lose the wallet? Okay, you still got your passcode and your other stuff. Okay, what happens if you lose your passcode? All your money's gone. It's not insured. Okay, there's no customer service. It's, so in terms of me, and you might say I'm old school, but I mean, my bank, first of all, charges me no fees. Okay, very little to no fees. The only fees I pay are for stock commissions, buying and selling stocks. But I send an e-transfer to somebody, it's free. I can send thousands of dollars in an instant, and it takes nothing. It's free. I can leave my money in there. My money's insured. My money's backed by the bank, and it's backed by the government, by different agencies. Okay. They send me documents every month with all my transactions and my history and my balance and everything like that. Whereas crypto, it's not insured. So if something happens to an exchange, if you lose your money, if you lose your passcode, who's going to help you? They don't have customer service and they don't have insurance. So for me, even if I had to pay for the bank, which I don't, it's free. My bank doesn't charge me anything. If you leave a little bit of the minimum balance in there, which isn't much, I got a premium account at TD Bank, and it cost me nothing. In crypto, in terms of fees, is actually very expensive. Not only are you paying 2% to buy and to sell often on many of these exchanges, but on top of that, you're losing money on a spread. And then on top of that, you got to be subject to volatility when the price changes. So, you send a transaction in Bitcoin, it takes 30 minutes. And in that 30 minutes, the price moved 3%. I was actually, because I've traded Bitcoin before and stuff like that. And I sent myself $40,000 of Bitcoin from my Binance account to my Coinbase. And by the time it got to my Coinbase account, it took 50 minutes by the time it was all confirmed, which is a long time. And in that time, it dropped 3%. And I think I lost about $2,000 or so. Just in that time span. And then I also had to pay fees on top of that to sell it and withdraw it, plus the spread. So it's very expensive. I'm not sure how people come with this argument that crypto is very cheap to use. It's not. It's very expensive. The 2% to buy, 2% to sell, plus a spread. That's plus the volatility in the meantime is very expensive. It can be very slow. It's simply not convenient. I don't know. I mean, right now they're trying to connect it with Visa and they have some cards, crypto.com cards, but you're paying. You're paying. I spend money on my Visa. I get a 2-3%, reward or something like that. I get air miles. I get something, cash back, and yeah, they're trying to implement that with crypto. The thing is, when you spend on your crypto card, you're automatically being charged essentially like a foreign exchange fee every time, which is probably 2.5%, 3%. So you're actually, instead of getting any sort of discount or benefit to using your crypto card, it's costing you money. That's how this company, crypto.com is making money, because they're charging you a fee in order to spend your crypto. So it's expensive, it's slow, it's not insured, there's no customer service, there's no physical locations, it's inconvenient to use. You've got to store a digital currency on a physical wallet. I mean, a lot of it really just doesn't seem to add up or to make sense. And I actually bought some Bitcoin back in the day, and I bought it at, I think it was like $1,200, and I ended up selling at around $3,000. And thank God I did, because the exchange that I was using was Quadriga, and Quadriga, the owner or whatever, something happened, somebody took all the money, the exchange shut down, everybody's money got lost, hundreds of millions of dollars in crypto just vanished. And if I didn't sell, I would have got nothing for it. Even if I held on to my Bitcoin or I wanted to hodl, I would have lost everything because that exchange got hacked. And that's not the only one. Many of these exchanges got hacked. And Coinbase was down the other week. I think some of them are a lot more secure than others, but at the end of the day, the reliability, the security is not anywhere in comparison to the bank's track record. And also, it's not insured. So if something does happen, you don't have insurance. A few other things. If crypto were to actually become the main currency of the country, of the world, or even a reserve currency, the thing is, there's these whales, and these whales, you don't even know who they are. And it boggles my mind that, listen, I understand why people can't trust politicians, and I don't disagree with people, but to trust whales whom you don't even know who they are, more than trusting your elected officials that are in the public eye, really does not seem to make sense to me. We don't know who these people are. We don't know what they're doing with the money. We don't know if they're going to pull the rug out of nowhere. You don't know. So you're entrusting people you don't know with the money supply. And the thing is, if it did get bigger and bigger and bigger, these people get richer and richer and richer because they're the whales and they own the bulk of the currencies, which also makes it not decentralized. How is it decentralized when there's a small portion of individuals that own the bulk of these currencies? I don't see how that's decentralized. But, the thing is, we'd be giving these people whom we don't even know power over the money supply. I don't know how that could possibly be good for society. The thing is also that in a society run by crypto, let's say Bitcoin, the person who owns the most is the most powerful. And for every person that owns more crypto is more and more powerful if this were to actually happen. That's a society where you can't move up in life, where if you're at the bottom, if you got in late, if you don't have a lot of crypto, a lot of Bitcoin, you're going to stay at the bottom because there's no way in order to get higher on the scale, because just because somebody has more Bitcoin than you, they're higher up in life than you. And there's no way to outpace them if the price keeps going up. You will never get ahead. It's a society that is actually impossible to get ahead. And these are things that I just, people don't seem to think about. I don't see how that would possibly in any way be good for society, a society like that. And also, just to top this off, I really don't think the governments would ever end up letting that happen. How would the governments let that happen? And it wouldn't be good if it did. If crypto did become the currency or the main currency of the world, our country would be in ruins. I mean, governments would be in ruins. I mean, Why would people want that? Why are people like preparing for that outcome? I mean, and in that case, if we're in that much ruins, the internet might not be even work. And then your crypto's really worthless because it relies on the internet in order to be a medium of exchange, in which not everybody has access to the internet. Most people do, but not everybody does. And, anything could happen that the internet shuts down, something happens, and now you can't transact your money. So let's just look over some points. Fiat currency backed by a revenue generating economy. It's like having shares in your country. Our country, they have $1.2 trillion in debt, but they generate $1.8 trillion in GDP per year. We've got roads, we've got hospitals, we've got infrastructure, we've got buildings, we've got bridges, we've got land, and we've got a ton of growth happening in the future for Canada, our country. That's what makes fiat currency worthwhile and worth something. Even if they print more, they dilute your share, yes, which is bad. They cause inflation, yes, which is bad. But it's still backed by something. There's still a reason why it has value. It's not that they're just printing it out of thin air. We have something backing that currency. It's our country. We have a big country. We have a great country. Okay, crypto, not backed by anything. It's just backed by beliefs. If people believe in this currency more than another, then it's worth more. That's why Bitcoin is worth so much, because Bitcoin is one of the worst crypto technologies there is, in my opinion. And it's the biggest one by market cap, simply because it's the most popular. But you can essentially copy and paste Bitcoin. You can copy and paste the software, the blockchain, and call it Bitcoin 2, and it's going to be the exact same thing. There's no difference in it. The only difference is Bitcoin 2. It's not Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin 2, and less people believe in it. But it's exactly the same thing. And that's already happened. Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Diamond, Bitcoin Platinum, Bitcoin Gold. They're all the same thing. The only difference is, there might be very slight variations in them. But the only main difference is the fact that Bitcoin is Bitcoin. More people believe in it. More people buy it. And the other ones are Bitcoin Diamond, Bitcoin Cash, whatever. There's not as much backing by it. So crypto's not insured. It's not backed by anything. The transactions tend to be slow. It's inconvenient. You need to store it on a digital currency on a physical hard drive. You need QR codes and big codes and passcodes in order to access your money if you store it on a hard drive. There's little to no customer service with most of these exchanges, and no customer service with any of the cryptos themselves. They're essentially like a token to be used on like a certain websites like Decentraland. It's kind of like Decentraland currency is like having V-Bucks for Fortnite. I mean, what's the difference? And then I would say they don't pay any dividends. They don't pay any yields. And then now people are going to say, wait, you're not educated. No, they do pay yields. You stake your crypto. I don't know if people know how that works, but the reason they can afford to pay you these big yields on staking is because they're charging other people a ton of money on margin in order to borrow to buy more crypto. So they're charging one guy 30%, 35% margin to borrow money to buy more crypto, and then they're paying out 10% or whatever yields to people to stake their crypto. That's essentially a Ponzi scheme. It requires new investors and margin and people borrowing money in order to pay out current holders. It's not money making from selling something or services or anything like that, or dividends or anything like that. No, it's making money from new investors borrowing money and bringing in money to pay out current investors. That's a Ponzi scheme. And, in my opinion, that thing's going to collapse. I mean, how long can that go on for? People paying 30, 35% margin. And if prices go down, they get liquidated. And we've seen that many times throughout the market. Another thing is, just another point is that how can people live with this forever? This constant up and down in their money every night. People probably can't even sleep, because their money is going up and down like crazy. I mean, is that logical? Does that make sense? Is that do we want people to be stressed and on the edge all the time? And another thing is that, and there's so many points. Another thing is that any new crypto can come along and replace the old one just because it's better technology. So what I'm saying is, if you were telling me you were investing in a company that invented the blockchain, that's profiting off of the blockchain, like Ripple, and Ripple's making deals with banks and stuff like that, and you told me you were investing in Ripple, I would say, you know what, that might not be a bad idea, because Ripple's making money, they're generating profits, they've got deals and stuff like that. But investing in XRP, Ripple's currency, you don't own any of that. You don't have an ownership stake in their revenue, their profits, their dividends, their company, none of that. You don't own any of that. ICOs, initial coin offerings, is essentially a way for companies to raise money without having to give up a share in their company. And that's what's going on here. I don't even know how this is legal, to be honest. And then you have a lot of institutional investors and saying they're going to invest, or Visa is coming on board and Visa is trying to get on board. The thing is, these are for-profit companies. Visa is trying to make billions of dollars. They're just trying to catch on the latest trend so they can make money because, hey, listen, the companies are making a lot of money off of crypto because people are spending so much money on crypto. They're spending so much fees, 2% here, 2% there, spreads here. Why would Visa not jump on board? Why would these companies not jump on board? I would too if I was a company. I'm trying to make money. So really, saying these big companies are jumping on board really doesn't mean anything to me. It just means that they're just trying to cash in. So these are a lot of the points that I have, and I'm sure there's a lot more. I'm sure there's a lot more. But again, I just can't imagine a society being run by crypto. Where you just can't get up in life just simply because you have less coins. Some guy got in earlier than you, and you're just at the bottom of the ladder, and you'll never be able to get higher on that ladder. Simply because you have less coins and the coins keep going up in value, so you can't really buy more and you can't pass the other guy that got in earlier than you. How would that society work? It doesn't make sense. So, and this is all on top of the fact that there's so much electricity wasted. There's so much waste on our supply of chips and stuff like that. It's just so unnecessary. Plastic, metal, all of this stuff like that. It's just such an unnecessary waste to create something that doesn't exist. There's nothing there. You mine something and it's nothing. I don't know. It's really mind-boggling to me. I have more points. I could talk forever about this, but my camera stops off at 30 minutes and I'm almost there. And, these are some of the biggest points that I have. And really, I've seen bubbles before. And when everybody thinks something is good, a good investment, and everybody thinks they're going to get rich off something, usually it's the opposite, and usually a lot of people lose money. And it's clear that it's a bubble. Even if they don't go directly to zero, it's clear that they are very overpriced. It's clear that it's a bubble because it's not like just Bitcoin went up or just Ethereum went up because they're the best. No, they all went up. The silliest stuff. Dogecoin, it's about a dog. Shiba, it's about a dog. There's a lot of dumb coins that skyrocket simply because they're in the same crypto space. And I've seen the same thing with marijuana stocks back in the day. Every single company that had anything to do with marijuana skyrocketed. It didn't matter what company it was, didn't matter how crap it was, it still skyrocketed just because they were in the same space. And the same thing happened with crypto. But take a look at the marijuana stocks now and see how those played out. I could be wrong. These are my opinions. My time's running out. I got so much more to say, but this is what I wanted to say. I hope you understand me. If you're going to comment, don't be hateful or angry. Tell me your points and your reasons why I'm wrong. Have a nice day, guys. Thank you.